when you hear the word surrender? Do you think about losing a game, raising a white flag on a battlefield, perhaps just giving something up? The common theme there is that there's a fight or a struggle. So I want to begin and let us take a moment, close our eyes, and think of the struggles we have. It could be in any part of our lives, whether it's internally, with our family, our jobs, our spouses, even with God. Just take a moment and sit with those while I read this passage from Matthew, chapter 26, verses 39 to 44, where Jesus is confronting this very real and deep struggle in his own heart. He advanced a little and fell prostrate in prayer, saying, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not as I will, but as you will." When he returned to his disciples, he found them asleep. He said to Peter, "So you could not keep watch with me for 1 hour? Watch and pray that you may not undergo the test. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." Withdrawing a second time, he prayed again, "My Father, if it is not possible that this cup pass without my drinking it, your will be done." Then he returned once more and found them asleep, for they could not keep their eyes open. He left them and withdrew again and prayed a third time, saying the same things again. A year and a half ago, I was struggling to see the path before me. I was working a job that, while it looked good on paper, it was slowly eating away at what I wanted to do with my life and where I needed to go. My wife, at the same time, was having the same struggle with her schooling. So together we made a decision to take a leap of faith. And I quit my job, and she decided not to return to school. We knew everything was going to work out, as long as we gave everything to God. Our worries, our struggles, our anxieties, everything. 2 days after I resigned, we had a big surprise of a positive pregnancy test. I remembered thinking, good one, God. You really are testing us, that we are putting everything in your faith. We were jobless, decently poor, and expecting a baby, and we couldn't have been happier. Surrender in the context of God is not about losing out on anything, as it would be in debates, sports, war. It is about accepting of an unknown but greater will. And this will does not come from within us, but the one we have surrendered to. With God, instead of losing out, we gain what we could not on our own. Peace, happiness, fulfillment. All of these fruits when we let God lead us, instead of trying to do it ourselves and eventually tripping over our own feet and falling down. My story goes on with my wife and I being extraordinarily excited. I actually questioned whether I should go back to work or not. And my wife, being who she is, set me straight. She said these simple words: "There is a reason we found out after you had resigned. If we found out that I was pregnant before, you wouldn't have even considered quitting in the first place." She was exactly right. And so, unknowing of how we were supposed to prepare for our miracle in our lives, we trusted that there was a great plan before us. Just like everything else in our relationship with God, surrendering is not passive. Surrendering ourselves over to God's will is difficult because it requires a constant surrendering. In Luke 1, verse 38, we can see a beautiful moment of the surrender gave by Mary. Mary said, "Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. May it be done to me according to your word." How beautiful a response to answer God's call in a moment of uncertainty and confusion. I think it was 10 days after we had found out that we were pregnant that my wife had a miscarriage. That was the moment we knew that we were not in control of our lives anymore, that we really had given everything over to God. We were doing whatever he needed us to spread his joy, no matter how it looked. But oh gosh, was I angry. Everything we had been trying to take in and understand the past 10 days was just taken from us as quickly as it came. But that was okay. Strong emotions are to be expected in such a time as that. I mean, even in the times we are in like today. The real trust comes after everything has seemingly been taken away. To hope against hope. Abraham was told that he was going to have numerous descendants, more than the stars in the sky. But he was asked to kill his only son. He surrendered everything to God's will, and that saved his son. Mary, our mother, being told that her son was going to be given the throne of David, his father, that he was going to be king, and then having to watch him hang on a cross, innocently, but only to have him rise from the dead and open the gates of heaven for all of us. The real fruits of our surrender come after times of great hardship. It is comforting to think that, in a way, God's greatest power is taking something so bad and making it beautiful. And that's what he does with each one of us. And it seems that the worse the situation is, the event is, the sin is, the more beautiful it can become. So while we know what surrendering looks like and a vague idea of how to do it, it can be a simple, Jesus, I trust in you. Jesus, thank you for your love, even in the midst of our daily struggles, of wrangling the kids, of sitting in traffic, of not having everything in order. There still lies one big question. Why should we? Well, if we believe that God is real, even just a shred of an ounce, then we must believe in his goodness. The pinnacle of goodness is God. He is nothing but goodness. God is also eternal, which means he is unconstrained by the ever-changing nature that we call time. So it is not unreasonable that we can believe, with God fully leading the charge of our lives, my life, your life, that it will be the best that it can be. So why not entrust everything we have, our body, our minds, to the one who actually knows us and knows what good is, because he is goodness. Our own patroness, Saint Therese, knew what surrendering our will to God meant more than anyone. So I'll leave us with this excerpt from the Carmelite Spirituality on Surrender. Ultimately, Saint Therese's only desire was to go beyond the struggle and fear and to trust in God's love and mercy, to surrender, feeling like a child safely playing within the protection of a loving parent. One contemporary writer put it this way: it was a problem of reconciling the great desire she had to love God and her experience of imperfection and powerlessness. Her little way to holiness is a daring surrender, and abandonment to his mercy. The secret of holiness is accessible to all. It is not easy, especially if we feel on our own. But we are not alone. Life calls for a truthfulness in the face of our own reality and limitation. Only God can lead us loving beyond all the limits of this world. In this moment, we must surrender and let the Lord lead us. Let God's will be done. Literally, she had to throw herself on the mercy of God. I do have 3 challenges for us this week. Firstly, I want us to figure out what we tend to take too much control over. Ask your best friend, ask your spouse, ask your mother, someone who knows you on an intimate level. We can't hand over control if we don't know what we were trying to control in the first place. After this first part, I want us to ask God in prayer what He needs us to surrender to Him. This answer may or may not be different from what your friends and family have said, or what you even think that you need to surrender over. It could be something that never came up before, but God is still asking you to surrender it to Him. It could be something that seems so good in your lives, but that He wants you to entrust Him even more so. Lastly, we're going to take action. The whole point of being able to give everything over to God is to enter more fully in our relationship with Him. These actions can be anything. Giving our attention more to God than our phones one day of the week. Something simple, yet meaningful. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just needs to be something that can take us in a small step in the right direction. And if God is calling you to take that big step, then take it. Whenever you do answer that call to love, no matter how scared, hurt, worried, anxious you are, know that you will not be let down. We're going to end in a prayer from Saint Ignatius of Loyola for his prayer of surrender. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Take, Lord, and receive all my liberty, my memory, my understanding, and my entire will. All I have and call my own. You have given it all to me. To you, Lord, I return it. Everything is yours. Do with it what you will. Give me only your love and your grace. That is enough for me. Amen. Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen.